Greetings, everybody. My name is Mona Bell, and I serve on one of the committees of Earth Science Women's Network. For those of you who do not know what Earth Science Women's Network, or ESWN, is, it's an international nonprofit that has members participate and engage in the workings of ESWN from around the world. We're lucky to have Dr. Melissa Burt with us today. Dr. Melissa Burt is the Vice President for ESWN. And during the daytime, she also has a full-time job as the Assistant Dean for Diversity and Inclusion in the Walter Scott Junior College of Engineering at Colorado State University. In addition to serving in these leadership roles, Melissa is also the past chair for the Board on Women and Minorities of the American Meteorological Society. She is a former AMS counselor and also is the first chair for the American Meteorological Society's Culture and Inclusion Cabinet. I don't know how Melissa does all that she does, but welcome, Melissa.
Thanks, Mona, and thank you for having me here today.
Very excited to speak with you, Melissa. So, Melissa, you wear so many leadership hats. And when I look at your biography, I can't imagine where do you find the time to do what you do. So tell us a little bit about your research and the types of things that you do in your current position.
Sure, thanks. So in my role as Assistant Dean for Diversity and Inclusion here at Colorado State University, I very much focus on serving as kind of the leader of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts here in our college, and also as a leader across our campus. But I say the word a leader, but in thinking about diversity, equity, and inclusion work, I can't do that work alone. So I very much serve as kind of, I'll say maybe an ambassador to work with our students, our staff, and our faculty for them to think about, what is their responsibility as we think about these issues? And more importantly, how do we really seek to integrate equity, inclusion, justice, diversity within our research, our teaching, our service? And so in my position, I work a lot with our faculty and our staff to really get them to think through how do we do this and how do we do this well, but also understand that it's a learning process for everyone. So I really seek to think about these efforts from three main, I guess I'll say, vantage points. From kind of the individual level, how do we develop our own competencies? How do we understand our own biases that we may have and how that shows up in the world that we interact in here at the university, but also more broadly. I think about these efforts from kind of an organizational or even a departmental level. What are the policies and the practices, the culture of the environments that we're in here at our university, and how does these components show up there? And then also more broadly, kind of the systemic level. How do I work across the institution to really do a true review of our practices in that way? In addition to all of that, I guess I'll say, when I think about my research, yes, I have my typical atmospheric science research, which I don't get to do as much these days, but I have worked on essentially using climate models as a tool to understand our changing climate, in particular in the Arctic, which we've known has been changing for decades, and what are the influences of that Arctic change on the rest of the Earth. But I guess I'll say even more interesting for me now, or these days, I'm really kind of diving into doing more kind of discipline-based education research within the atmospheric sciences and trying to understand how does social identity and belonging show up in the educational processes, in particular within the geosciences. What are the impacts of social justice in STEM, on persistence, on retention, and overall education? So that was like a mouthful, but those are all the different areas that I'm kind of working on right now.
Wow, Melissa, thank you so much for your inspiring leadership, your mentorship, and for all the contributions that you've made to improve the culture of geosciences, our professional societies, as well as institutions. It's quite amazing. And in addition to all that you mentioned, I would mention also that you are a mom and a mentor to so many people, including myself. So thank you again for everything. Melissa, tell us a little bit about your involvement with the ESWN. When did you start and what it means to you?
You know, I was thinking about this the other day of what was my first interaction with ESWN. And I'm sure there may have been some prior to this, but the one thing that I remember is I was attending the AGU, the American Geophysical Union meeting, sometime during my early graduate career. And I had a friend come to me and say, you know, I'm going to this reception. It's like a networking event. And you should come with me. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go with you. You know, it's something to do in the evening. Like, I'm not always so keen on these networking activities, but I'll just go and just see what happens. And I remember walking into, I think it was called Jillian's, I don't even recall at this point, but we were going to this reception and seeing all of these like amazing women in this space, just talking and gathering. And, you know, I felt this kind of sense of community right from the start. Luckily, I had a friend with me that made that entry into it a little bit better, but I think that was one of my first interactions with ESWN was when I was a student. And then, you know, attending different receptions, learning about some of the professional development that they were offering was something that I continued to do and really learned from. And I think the development of that community provided me with an opportunity to get more involved in the leadership perspective or leadership position. And so I joined the board, I don't know, a few years after that as just a leadership board member. And then more recently in the last few years, I decided to take on the position as vice president for ESWN.
That's amazing, Melissa. So you've been engaged with the ESWN since your student days, and now as a professional in such a high leadership position, you're still contributing to ESWN and providing more direction and vision as the vice president. Thanks again for doing all that you do to make everything happen that ESWN leads. So in light of ESWN's 20th anniversary next month, tell us a little bit about things or activities or any particular ESWN programs that you're most proud of.
Yeah, I guess I'll say one thing that's not even a program, but I think about all of the friends and colleagues that I've made over the year, you in particular as well, that yes, we may have by chance come together at some other moment, you know, through life, but I think that connection and the friendships that were developed by, you know, going to a professional development session or, you know, meeting up at a networking reception are the pieces that I am truly proud of, because we've had these organic relationships that have just developed, right, as friends and colleagues and, you know, people that you just call up whenever you feel like calling or texting just to, you know, check in on folks. And so I think one of the biggest things for me is just that community friend, knowing that you always have someone in your back corner for you. I think I'll also say the ability to grow my research portfolio or my professional portfolio in a way because of the connections that I've made. You know, I think about meeting Tracy and talking with Tracy over the years, and she's this idea generation person who has exciting opportunities and like she's just so excited about what she does that it engages you and want to be a part of that team too, right? So I think about the connections that I've made with Tracy, and I think about Emily Fisher and Becca and Meredith and Christine and all of these people who have truly been these like beacons for a light for me over the last few years. And so I think just that community connection is something that I'm proud of. And just to see, you know, all of the people that we've touched or connected with or learned from, grown with, over time is something that I just love.
That is amazing, Melissa. I can certainly attest to the fact that the kind of culture that ESWN creates to make everyone feel welcomed and belonged is a reason why several of us, including myself, have persisted in the geosciences. It's great that you say that we have the opportunity to collaborate and leverage the expertise, experience, and wisdom of our members from around the world. Really, and support each other in this field. So thank you again for those terrific insights. My last question to you is, why should anyone engage in ESWN or give to ESWN?
I think, I personally give to ESWN because I think about the women of the future who may look like me or who have never seen anyone like me as a scientist doing what they do, right? And I want to ensure that those future generations see some of us as role models, see that they have opportunities for success, see that people are making it, but also knowing that, we have struggles and obstacles that are a part of that as well, right? So it's not so picture perfect, but that we all kind of navigate through these spaces, through the ebbs and flows of it all, but that we have this supportive group of people around us. So I give because I think about the future folks who are coming into this space, knowing that we have all been there from time to time and wanting to continue to create that supportive, collaborative, fun environment for folks to come.
That is great. Thank you so much for that motivating and inspiring message, Melissa. That is so much appreciated, and hopefully it will inspire others to give and join ESWN as well. To those who are watching this video, please visit us online at ESWN online.org to find out ways in which you can either contribute your expertise to ESWN by participating in our different committees and or by supporting ESWN through your resources. So thank you again for your time and effort, Melissa. Thanks for your leadership, your friendship, and your mentorship, and wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Mona.